Job chapter 12. And Job answered and said, So then, ye alone are men, and wisdom shall die with you. But I also have a heart as well as you. For righteous and blameless man has become a subject for mockery. For it had been ordained that he should fall under others at the appointed time, and that his houses should be spoiled by transgressors. Let not, however, anyone trust that, being evil, he shall be held guiltless, even as many as provoke the Lord, as if there were indeed to be no inquisition made of them. But ask now the beasts, if they may speak to thee, and the birds of the air, if they may declare to thee. Tell the earth, if it may speak to thee, and the fishes of the sea shall explain to thee. Who then has not known in all these things that the hand of the Lord has made them? Whereas the life of all living things is in his hand, and the breath of every man. For the ear tries words, and the palate tastes meats. In length of time is wisdom, and in long life knowledge. With him are wisdom and power, with him counsel and understanding. If he should cast down, who will build up? If he should shut up against man, who shall open? If he should withhold the water, he will dry the earth, and if he should let it loose, he overthrows and destroys it. With him are strength and power. He has knowledge and understanding. He leads counselors away captive and maddens the judges of the earth. He seats kings upon thrones and girds their loins with a girdle. He sends away priests into captivity and overthrows the mighty ones of the earth. He changes the lips of the trusty, and he knows the understanding of the elders. He pours dishonor upon princes and heals the lowly, revealing deep things out of darkness, and he has brought into light the shadow of death, causing the nations to wander and destroying them, overthrowing the nations and leading them away, perplexing the minds of the princes of the earth, and he causes them to wander in a way they have not known, saying, Let them grope in darkness, and let there be no light, and let them wander as a drunken man. Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome to Job chapter 12. There are 25 verses in this chapter. Beginning in verse 3, we notice the heart versus the understanding. So the thoughts and feelings versus understanding, perhaps logic, wisdom. I'm not sure why that popped up. Okay, in any case. There's an addition of, I am not inferior to you. Yea, who knows not such things as these? So Job seems more egotistical, shows a bit more attitude in the Masoretic text. That's my impression anyhow. Verse 4, we're ignoring that. This is the focus of this video. I call it the prophecy versus the proverb. So notice in verses 5 to 6, it reads very similar to a prophecy. This is Job speaking. For it had been ordained, let's insert the words predestined, it has been predestined that he, talking about the righteous man, should fall, a righteous and blameless man. Perhaps Job is referring to himself, that he should fall under others at the appointed or pre-planned time, and that his houses should be spoiled by transgressors. So he's saying the sinners have taken his wealth However, there is a caveat, there's a warning here. It says this: let not, however, anyone trust that being evil, he shall be held guiltless. So just because this is happening to him or the righteous man, and those who are perpetrating these evils will just get away scot-free. Even as many as provoke Hashem, as if there were indeed to be no inquisition or investigation made of them. There's going to be, a judgment eventually. They're going to have to face up to what they've done. What does it say in the Masoretic? It says this. It's more like a proverb. It reads more like a proverb. So it's more explicit that he is referring to himself. Job is referring to himself. I am as one mocked of his neighbor. And then he describes that the just upright man is laughed to scorn. And then he says, he that is ready to slip with his feet is as a lamp despised. Okay, you know what? Let's read it slower. And I want you to really try to understand what is being said here, because you will find it doesn't make much sense. He that is ready to slip with his feet is as a lamp, despised in the thought of him that is at ease. So he that is prepared, in other words, let's just put it this way more simply, he that is prepared to waver in his walk or in his life is like a light that is hated in the mind of him who is safe or living in security. Again, nonsensical. And then we have a very false statement that proceeds in the Septuagint. Actually, no, it's the Masoretic. It says, the tabernacles of robbers prosper. They that provoke Elohim are secure. Into whose hand Elohim brings abundantly. So on the surface it reads as like a false statement, but it parallels what is said in the Psalms, where David is perplexed as to why the wicked prosper. So this could be a parallel to that. However, it is a false statement because it does seem to infer or imply that Elohim is blessing those who are doing these things. They rob, they thief, and they provoke Elohim, and yet Elohim, as a result, he's going to bless them. So it doesn't make as much sense. I could say this is illogical as well. I don't know, this is the illogical part of the proverb. Actually, all of it is really, but especially this. If you're looking at it from this way, framing it to say that Elohim is blessing them as a result of their robbery. Due to their evil actions, they're being blessed. And that is just wrong in so many fronts. It's anti-Torah. But again, it could be a parallel to what is said in the Psalms by King David. Verse 7, speak versus teach. So the beasts, the animals, cannot speak unless it is Hashem who opens their mouths. Therefore, it would require a miracle, specifically the intervention of Elohim to open their mouth, just like when he opened the mouth of the donkey, the donkey of Balaam or Balaam. Versus teaching. Do beasts teach human beings? Well, they can. If we look at the Proverbs, there is instruction to be gleaned from the way they live their lives, the behavior, their how they rear their children, how they harvest, and so on. Verse 8, continuous difference of speak versus teach. So the earth is teaching man. This makes even less sense compared to beasts teaching man. However, the earth, giving the earth the ability to speak, is metaphorical in my opinion, because it's like the saying, if these walls could talk, what would the earth tell human beings, mankind, if it had a mouth and it could tell all the stories of the events that it has lived and all it has seen throughout since its foundation. Verse 9, big difference, significant difference, made them. So it's asking, Job is asking, these things, the beasts, the earth, the fishes, the creation essentially, they know, they are aware that they have been created. Who then has not known in all these things, that the hand of Hashem has made them? So they are aware that they have been created, versus the Masoretic saying the following: who knows not in all these that the hand of Hashem has wrought this? So who knows? Okay, what is this asking? Who knows not? So they don't know in all these. I think it's more a rhetorical question. Who doesn't know that in all these the hand of Hashem has done this? Okay, what has he done? Well, this is referring to most likely what the proverb has spoken, or what Job has said specifically in verses 2 to 6. So it is saying that Hashem has caused him to be mocked. He causes the one that's ready to slip with his feet to be hated. The tabernacles of robbers prospering, etc. Up to here, up to the end of verse 6. So that, again, is adding to the nonsensical. It's adding to the... Hold on a minute. So continuing on, verse 9. So they are aware they have been created versus Elohim has done this. This is only adding to the nonsensical aspect of what is being expressed in the Masoretic text. Verse 12, knowledge versus understanding. This is a redundancy in the Masoretic. Verse 13, these are rhetorical questions being asked versus statements being made. Verse 15, there's an omission of "and destroys it." So this is a reference perhaps to Noah's flood. Verse 16, power versus wisdom. And a big difference is found. It says, he has knowledge and understanding, versus the deceived and the deceiver are his, referring to Elohim. Okay, why would they be his? Is he owning them? Does he claim ownership of them? That doesn't make sense. Why would he want to claim them? And it doesn't say he's claiming them to be judged. It's just they belong to him. It doesn't make much sense. He seats kings upon thrones, versus he looses the bond of kings. So he sets up the ruling authorities, versus he makes the restrictions of rulers less restrictive, less burdensome, perhaps. Okay. Verse 19, priests versus princes. Verse 20, changes versus removes. And a significant to big difference, knows versus takes away understanding. Verse 21, this verse is the one referring to the princes, not verse 19, as expressed in the Masoretic. As well, this verse is the one referring to the lowly, not the mighty, as the Masoretic is saying, because that is also, again, a redundancy. We see that right there, mighty twice. Verse 22, revealing versus discovers. So Hashem knows all things, but he reveals it to those who do not know. Versus Elohim does not know, for whatever reason. He's not aware, he doesn't learn this, but he's learning about it. He's continually learning. That goes against his omniscient nature. Verse 23, wander versus increases. Overthrow, meaning to remove the authority, perhaps by causing revolutions or upheaval, versus enlarging, which is to prosper in size. Again, this is redundant. Leading them. So this seems to be a foil to the wandering part of the verse, because they the nations are like sheep, but Hashem also leads them like a shepherd, perhaps. So this could be prophetic, referring to the end times, versus straightens, which means to guide. Verse 24, perplexing the minds versus takes away the heart. So he confuses or bewilders the minds versus discouraging or disheartening. A way they have not known versus in a wilderness, no way, where there's no way. So this is a path unfamiliar to them versus the desert where there is no path to be found. Maybe they're in no man's land. There's just no direction to choose. Verse 25, wander versus stagger. So emphasizing the wandering, lost narrative aspect of the verse versus not being able to walk properly. Okay, so that's all for this chapter. Thank you very much for your time. Till next time, I bid you all shalom aleichem, assalamu alaikum, irini mazisu, pax vobiscum, peace be unto you, and maranatha.